Have you ever bought something, clothes, tech, food, not because you needed it, but because in that exact moment, it just felt good, like really good? But here's the catch. That rush doesn't last. Instead, you're left with the same empty feeling, maybe even a little guilt. Why does this happen? It's not just about bad spending habits. It's your brain chemistry working against you. And it all comes down to dopamine. Not happiness, not fulfillment, just a quick hit. And your brain keeps falling for it again and again and again. But what if you could finally break that loop? In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how dopamine hijacks your spending decisions, why your brain keeps chasing the next hit even when it's wrecking your wallet, and most importantly, how you can take back control with smarter habits that actually feel good and build your future. If you've ever wondered why spending feels amazing in the moment, but always leaves you empty afterward, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll finally understand how to stop making emotional purchases that sabotage your goals and replace them with habits that build real wealth, not just quick dopamine hits. Lesson 1: Why spending feels so good, and it's not about happiness. Let's get something clear right from the start. Spending money doesn't make you happy. It makes you excited. And that excitement? That's dopamine. Dopamine isn't about joy or satisfaction. It's about anticipation. It's the chase. That add to cart button? That's not fulfillment. That's a promise your brain makes to you. If I get this, I'll feel better. But here's the truth. Most of the time, what you really get is disappointment. The package arrives, you tear it open, and then what? Back to scrolling, back to the next thing, chasing the next little rush. Companies know this, social media knows this. They're not just selling products, they're selling dopamine. And you don't even realize you've been trained to chase that chemical hit over and over. But understanding how this works is the first step to breaking free from it. Because if you don't know the trap, you can't escape it. And here's where it gets even trickier. Because companies don't just rely on dopamine accidentally. They design every step of the buying experience to trigger it. Ever notice how those online stores show you only 2 left in stock? Or how checkout pages have bright, bold buttons screaming, "Buy now"? That's not decoration. That's behavioral psychology in action. They're playing your brain like a piano. And it works. Why? Because your brain isn't wired for modern life. It's wired for survival. It's constantly searching for the next reward, even if that reward is just a package on your doorstep. But here's the practical trick to fight back. Start asking yourself this one question before you buy anything. Am I buying this for the feeling or the function? If it's just for the feeling, that little hit of excitement, recognize that's your dopamine talking. Pause. Take a breath. You're not depriving yourself. You're giving your future self more power. Here's an example. Let's say you're scrolling Amazon late at night and suddenly you see a new gadget or pair of shoes. You feel that little rush, the "I need this" urge. That's your dopamine flaring up. Instead of clicking buy now, you hit save for later. Set a calendar reminder for 48 hours. 2 days later, check again. 9 times out of 10, that excitement's gone. You saved money, you trained your brain to wait, and you just built self-discipline in the process. Repeat that with everything you buy impulsively. Over time, that pause becomes a habit, and you go from a dopamine puppet to someone in control. Lesson 2: The emotional cycle of impulsive spending. Now let's zoom in on what's really going on emotionally when you make those purchases. It's not random, it's a cycle. First, there's the trigger. Maybe you're bored, stressed, feeling like you need a reward after a long day. Then comes the hit. You buy something and your brain lights up like you just won the lottery. But that feeling doesn't stick. Guilt shows up next. Why did I buy that? Did I really need this? And then finally, the empty. That feeling of nothing really changed. And guess what? That emptiness is fuel for the next cycle, because your brain hates discomfort, and the easiest way to avoid discomfort is to chase another dopamine hit. And this is where it gets dangerous. Spending becomes emotional avoidance. Money becomes a bandage for a much deeper emotional wound. But when you can see this pattern, you can interrupt it before it takes control.
And the most dangerous part of this emotional cycle? It's invisible. You don't even realize it's happening until you're already halfway through it. And what makes it worse is that it's triggered by emotions we often ignore or push aside. Stress from work, feeling left out after scrolling through social media, even that tiny voice in your head whispering, "You deserve this." The emotional spending cycle thrives in those quiet, vulnerable moments. But here's how you take back control. Identify your triggers before they show up. Make a list. Seriously, grab your phone or a notebook and write down moments when you usually feel the urge to spend. Is it boredom on weekends? Frustration after work? Loneliness scrolling at night? Naming those triggers turns the invisible into the visible. And visibility is the first step toward control.
Now, here's a practical method you can start using today. Create replacement routines. If you know boredom makes you shop online, set up an alternative action in advance. Example, when I feel bored, instead of opening Amazon, I'll go for a 10-minute walk, or I'll text a friend, or I'll watch a video that teaches me something I'm curious about. You're not just avoiding spending, you're building new emotional habits that satisfy the need for stimulation without draining your wallet. Emotional spending isn't about logic, it's about managing feelings before they turn into clicks and credit card charges. Every replacement you use builds emotional muscle, rewiring your brain for better choices, one decision at a time.
Lesson 3: Why your brain keeps chasing the hit even when it hurts you. Here's the part that most people never realize. Your brain is addicted to anticipation, not results. That's why you can keep buying things, even though they almost never make you happy afterward. Your brain gets its reward from the hunt. Evolution wired you this way to survive. In ancient times, chasing food, shelter, or a mate gave you a dopamine boost because it kept you alive. But now, marketers have hacked that exact system. They've weaponized your dopamine against you. Flash sales, limited time offers, notifications buzzing with deals you can't miss. Your brain isn't bad, it's normal. It's doing what it's designed to do. But in a world where everything is designed to keep you spending, you have to take back control consciously. Because if you don't, you'll be stuck chasing that next hit, while your savings account sits empty and your goals stay out of reach.
And here's the twist that most people never see coming. Your brain doesn't even care if what you buy actually makes you happy. It only cares about the chase. That's why you can get excited about a new phone or pair of sneakers, But once they're yours, the thrill disappears. This isn't because you're ungrateful or spoiled, it's because dopamine is a motivation chemical, not a satisfaction chemical. It's like having a personal trainer that only cheers you on while you're running toward the goal, but completely disappears once you cross the finish line. And in today's world, advertisers weaponize that psychology against you. That countdown timer on sales? Dopamine. The flashing red last chance label? Dopamine. They're literally hacking your biology to steer you straight into unnecessary spending, and you don't even realize you're being played.
So how do you use this to your advantage? Flip the script. Instead of chasing spending results, start chasing process. For example, instead of setting a goal like, I'm going to buy a new laptop, create a goal like, I'm going to save $500 this month. Why? Because that daily progress toward a savings goal releases the same dopamine. Track it. Celebrate small wins. Watch that number grow. Dopamine loves progress bars. Use that to your advantage. And here's another one. Turn anticipation into a tool for delayed gratification. Want something big? Set up a countdown for when you'll buy it. The anticipation itself becomes the reward. And by the time you get there, guess what? You might not even want it anymore, but you'll definitely have more money in your pocket.
Lesson 4. How to break free from this cycle. So how do you actually break free from this cycle? The key isn't to stop wanting things. That's impossible. The key is to redirect the dopamine. Start replacing impulsive spending triggers with better rewards. Want to buy something? Pause. Give yourself 24 hours first. That delay lets the dopamine craving pass. Next, reward yourself differently. Exercise, journaling, building a project, working toward a long-term goal. Dopamine loves progress, not just purchases. And here's a big one. Track your wins. Every time you resist an unnecessary purchase, write it down. Your brain needs to see that progress to build momentum. Slowly, you start rewiring the reward system to value growth over quick gratification. The spending impulse won't disappear overnight, but you'll finally be the one driving instead of being driven by it.
And here's what makes this strategy powerful. The moment you delay a purchase, you interrupt the automatic dopamine hit. And that interruption, that's where your real power starts. See, the craving doesn't last forever. It feels intense in the moment, but research shows that most dopamine urges fade within minutes if you don't feed them. That's why the 24-hour rule works so well. But you can take it even further with what I call dopamine redirection. This means replacing the shopping habit with something else that sparks progress. Let's say you feel that familiar itch to order takeout on a random night, even though you have food at home. Instead of opening the food app, open your notes app or journal and write down one goal you're working toward. Financial, fitness, business, doesn't matter. Then do one small thing toward that goal right there. Suddenly, you've taken that craving and redirected it into momentum for your real life.
Here's another practical move. Make buying harder. Unlink your saved credit card info from online stores. Disable one-click purchases. Add friction. The harder it is to make a purchase, the more likely it is that the dopamine craving fades before you complete the order. Want to go advanced? Create a wish list called Next Month Purchases. Anything you want impulsively goes on that list, reviewed only once per month. What you're doing here is shifting the dopamine hit from buying to planning, from reacting to choosing. Over time, your brain learns that the real reward isn't in spending quickly, it's in being strategic. And that's how you take control of your money and your mind.
Lesson 5. Building habits that make you wealthy, not just happy for a second. Breaking the cycle isn't enough. You need to replace it with habits that actually build your future. And it's not just about saving money. It's about using your dopamine for something that compounds. Instead of chasing short-term excitement, start building routines around things that give you long-term wins. Investing, learning skills, creating things, making your health better. All of those release dopamine too, but in a way that builds your life, not just drains your bank account. Think of it like this. Every emotional purchase you skip is like saying no to temporary pleasure, so you can say yes to permanent growth. Wealth doesn't come from denying yourself everything. It comes from choosing the right rewards. And once you flip that dopamine trap into a growth engine, you'll realize real happiness was never at the checkout button. It was in building something that actually matters to you.
And the best part about building these new habits? Over time, they start to feel better than spending ever did. Why? Because while spending gives you a short dopamine spike, building something meaningful gives you compound dopamine. Let's break that down. Compound dopamine is when small wins stack up and each one makes the next feel even better. Think about it like this. Every workout builds on the last. Every dollar saved adds up. Every skill you improve compounds into bigger opportunities. You're not just trading one habit for another, you're elevating your entire life. Want practical examples? Start a personal win tracker. Every day you skip an emotional purchase, every workout you finish, every dollar you put into savings or investments, write it down. Seeing that progress builds motivation on a biological level, not just mental discipline. Your brain loves progress bars, so build them everywhere.
Here's another. Automate your good habits. Set up automatic transfers into a savings or investment account the same day you get paid. Why? Because it removes the friction and it turns saving into your default, not spending. Another trick? Attach spending temptations to penalties. Want that $200 pair of sneakers? Fine. But make a rule. For every dollar you spend on wants, you have to invest half that amount. Suddenly, that purchase feels heavier, more intentional. And here's the beautiful part. After a while, those emotional purchases feel cheap compared to the powerful, long-term wins you're stacking. You stop chasing fleeting hits, and you start chasing the kind of wealth that can actually change your life. That's when you know you've broken the dopamine trap for good.
So here's the truth. Breaking the dopamine spending loop isn't just about saving a little extra cash here and there. It's about completely rewiring the way you experience rewards in your life. It's shifting from quick, empty hits of pleasure to long-term, fulfilling wins that actually make your life better. And the craziest part? Most people will never do this. They'll keep chasing that next hit, that next box arriving at the door, that next impulsive swipe of the card, and they'll never even realize why they feel stuck, broke, or disappointed. But not you. You're here. You've seen the playbook. You've seen how the trap works. And now, you've got the tools to break out of it. Imagine what happens when you stop buying things to feel better and instead start building things to live better.
Now, if this video helped you flip that switch, here's your next move. Don't keep this to yourself. Chances are you know someone, a friend, a coworker, maybe even family, who's caught in that same dopamine trap without realizing it. Share this video with them. Start that conversation. And if you want more videos that break down the hidden forces behind your financial choices, hit that subscribe button, like this video to help it reach more people, and drop a comment below about the one habit you're going to change starting today. Remember, this isn't just about money. It's about building a life that feels good long after the dopamine hit fades. Let's build it together.